Good evening and welcome to Town Hall. My name is Johnny Glover, and we're here with two outstanding activists here in the city of Baltimore. Christina Flowers, good evening.
Good evening.
And we also have Adonna Black. How are you?
I'm doing well. All is well. God is good.
Well, all right. What's been happening in your world, Adonna? Haven't seen you in a minute.
I've been out and about. Just moving and shaking, trying to take over the world, the same thing I do every day.
How about you, Christina? What's been happening in your world?
Other than being very excited right now, because I'm so glad to see Adonna. We like birds of a feather flock together, Donnie. This is one of my greatness here. So you know what it is with homelessness. She has a great impact on some of my nurturing for homelessness. So you know what we gonna do, Team 365 is make sure we can work with our homeless population and navigate them into the things that they need.
And sorry.
Please.
I was gonna say, we're building a really strong network right now, with the WOO movement. That's women helping to empower women. The movement that was started this year. We are pulling together a really strong network. We're going to have a lot of resources for you soon, Christina, to pass on to you and for the community. Just schooling these women who have these organizations and businesses and charities and all kinds of things. So yeah.
Oh, I am excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. Lord, you just don't know, Donnie. What more can I say? I am so humble. You only know when this is like, she's there. You know.
So, Christina, what protests have you been doing lately?
Well, lately, you know what, Donnie, we have actually, we are still under the I-83 at Central and Guilford. We have been under at this encampment now since November the 1st. And basically, as the real care providers and as the real care providers like Adonna, a bunch of us, we have still been managing this encampment for like the past 5 months. And it has been a life-changing experience for me, Donnie. But I do believe it has been a very eye-opening experience to our city. Baltimore has gravitated a lot to our outside shelter. We have been doing, just as Adonna said, just really building some partnerships, some movement, some shaking, just having people really getting involved with things in our city. And Donnie, I just look at this as, I don't want to be identified as a city in crisis. I feel like our minds is being too like nourished with we are a city in crisis, a city in crisis. I believe we are a city of greatness. Um, Look, you got like my birthday. Don't think I'm like I only gotta tell you the story. That's all because talking to someone like her is like she's in the root of it. So I know what the root look like.
We're going to welcome.
She's like my seed. She's like my seed.
Okay. We also have with us Sheena Smith. Sheena, how are you?
I'm doing well, Brother Donnie. How are you? Hi, Sister Christina. How y'all doing?
Good evening. How are you, Miss?
I'm doing well.
Sheena's doing fabulous.
Very, very strong name. I like that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Adonna Black. Okay.
Sheena, 5 p.m. today, you were in front of City Hall with some other protesters. What's going on?
Well, once we saw the news media trying to assassinate the Mosbys and try them in the media just because they were served a subpoena, a few other community activists and Brother Tyrone, many other community activists and organizations, they decided to come together in support of the Mosbys because the day that the news broke, that night you had people down there saying resign. And we don't know the ins and outs, whether they're guilty or not. The fact of the matter is, in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty. And to go and say because you purchased a home or you did this and try them in the media, what it does, it creates a venue where the community and the jury will be prejudiced if they do go to trial. So it's unfair because if it's the Mosbys today, tomorrow it could be our cousins, our nephews, any one of us could be mistreated like this, and it's just wrong. So we were saying on behalf of the Mosbys that we're here as community activists, as voters, as homeowners to support that you be given a fair opportunity to have your attorney give you your day in court to confront your accusers, because that is the law. Right now, Fox News and many others are breaking the law, trying to assassinate. And there was a young man that was down there, and right, I mean, if based on his experience, he was saying lock him up because they locked me up. And so I asked him, I said, well, when did you get locked up? He said 10 years ago. So I said, well, baby, uh, the state's attorney wasn't even the state's attorney 10 years ago. So clearly, people are sending individuals down to plant people there just to cause a bunch of foolishness. Let the evidence take its course. And if they're guilty, they won't be the first person that is guilty. We will get past this as well. But if they're innocent, you've already tainted their name in the media, and it's not right. You all wouldn't like it, neither would I. So I just think that many of us felt that, wait a minute, this is wrong, what's happening, and we got to speak up against it. Just like many of us, we have jobs and you have unions in place. If someone accuses you of something, you're allowed to do what? Go and rebut it. You don't just assassinate someone. That's all we're saying. Because you and I, we don't know all the evidence. We don't know what the feds had. We don't know whether they did anything wrong. We just don't know. But you don't want them to come out and speak before, because they're subpoenaed. So anybody who goes, and I'm not an attorney, but I do have common sense. Anything you say, they tell you when they read your rights, anything you say can be used against you in a court of law. So the attorney is speaking for them at this point, because that's the way we should do things. That's why you hire an attorney. They should not be coming out trying to explain anything. Let the attorney speak. And then when they have their day in court, it is what it is.
Adonna,
Just for support.
Adonna, have you been following this story?
I have from the beginning when they were coming after Marilyn alone. First, they were coming after Marilyn alone, and then they said they didn't find anything. So now they're coming for her and her husband at the same time. So I just say, I mean, it's a reason. I mean, like I agree with you, Miss Smith, that it's a reason why they're not speaking, because you know what the media is going to do. If they do say anything, they're going to chop it, chop and screw it, you know what I mean, and make it, only show certain parts of what they said. And, so the safest thing to say is to just be quiet, let the investigation run its course, like you said. And if they're found guilty, then, they'll have their day in court.
Absolutely.
Somebody has some feedback in there. Is that, who's that? I got echo?
I don't hear echo.
No, I don't hear an echo.
Okay. So Christina, you had called me not long ago. You asked me what's going on with the Mosbys, and I told you hold it for the show. What do you think?
Well, Donnie, and hey, Sheena, you got that. You done distracted me with two of my favorites now, so that's okay. So I'm good with that. But like Sister Sheena said, we gotta allow the process, because even when you have been privileged to understand a little bit of how things operate within relationships, and you can do something to really disturb someone, and then everything can be designed, Donnie. So I think, like Sister Sheena said, we need to trust the process, keep them in prayer. I really was like, God, because we have a serious issue in the city, and it runs spiritually. So we got to keep them in prayer because we got to let the process go through, and just trust that the strength that they use to run this city, because they do run parts of the city, that's the same strength that God will give them to get through this. So I
And
feel like I was supposed to be there this evening, but I had a broken phone, so I was kind of like caught off guard. But I'm glad to know that we as advocates is very supportive of that, Sister Sheena. And if Tyrone decide to do something else, we definitely need to have a strong support for this sister because it is what it is. Because we're gonna love. Like no matter what the outcome is, we still gonna be supportive and love because she's a part of this city. And that's something that's real important. Like, they look, I'm under a bridge, guys. It ain't so much I can say. I've been under a bridge for 5 months. So that just makes me feel some kind of way. We still gonna love them no matter what. And we just hope other peoples will do the same.
and we
And
want them to
respect them
love us,
because that's
and we
a
want them
family.
to love
That's a
us back.
family.
We want them to love us back, to reciprocate the love that they're getting from the community. Again,
Your phone.
not speaking on their situation, but just saying, this. I'm wondering, if this were the case and they are found guilty of what they are being accused of, like who's going to take their place? That's what I'm really thinking about. If that's the case, like if they remove them, who's going to be the next state's attorney of Baltimore City? So that's what I have in
We
mind. I'm
should.
looking forward
Well,
because
we,
I'm
we
thinking,
probably should be more
okay,
concerned about.
we have young people
We
out here who are being wrongfully sentenced, who are getting maximum times for minimal crimes, and then they're saying, they're getting off, getting away, and then they're coming back and committing more crimes. So we definitely have to get that situation all together. That's under that whole umbrella. So I think it's a distraction.
Yeah,
That's just my
it's a
thought.
big.
But anyway,
It's definitely a big distraction. But I also think, I don't think we should be surprised about anything. I think some of this is a trickling effect. If things are going to trickle off of everything that politicians or political people do. So it's going to be a trickling. It's going to be a trickling effect. So other things can come out of it. It's not just Pew. It's not just going to stop at Pew. It's not just going to stop at Cheryl Glenn. It's not just going to stop at Nathaniel Oakes. It's not going to just stop at them. It's going to be a trickling effect.
I want to go to Sheena. Sheena, when you think of the city of Baltimore,
Mhm.
and it is your phone, Sheena, because I can hear the feedback. I don't know if you know it or not, but
It's my phone.
yes, that's why I put it on mute. But Nick is next in line. There's probably nothing you can actually do other than stay still. Yeah, perfect. So Nick is next in line to be mayor. Is that
Yes.
why? Is that why they're going at him?
Well, this is what I think. It's a combination because when you look at the Catherine Pugh scenario, Catherine Pugh was in politics for quite some time. She wrote the Healthy Holly book over a decade ago. But when she became mayor, she began to try to implement things that would be inclusive for all communities. Once she knocked down those racist statues, and when little black boys and girls would not have to walk past that, and when she stood up to them about the racetrack, then that's when they came after her. The Mosbys, Marilyn Mosby was the only state's attorney, well, the first state's attorney to indict police officers for killing black young men. And indicting those officers, that set a precedent around the country. Now they're calling them the power couple because you're absolutely right. He's in line not only to be mayor, but he's also in position to challenge the mayor that's currently there now. So It's a combination. We have millions of dollars that's going to come into the city with COVID and all of the effects. The churches are now being attacked because they have access to that money. Miss Christina should be getting those dollars. So the question is, would the Mosbys be the type of individuals, because they're in position now to make major decisions, to make sure that a Christina Flowers get what she needs, that Adonna Black gets what she needs, that we're at the table now getting, and we're not begging for anything. Brother Tyrone talk about the homes to empower young people who are making 40,000 or less, but they're working to become a homeowner. Are they going to make sure that we're getting that piece of the pie? Rightfully so, because we pay taxes as well, whether you're just going to the store buying a soda pop. So clearly, this is not just by accident, it's by design. Now, the question
Sheena,
is,
can
are
you
we
log in
strong
with your
enough in the
computer?
city to say,
Can you log in with your computer? It's incredible kickback.
All right, I'm trying. Well, go to them and I'll work on it, okay?
Come on, Christina.
She gonna tell you just like that. Well, I mean, and again,
Okay, Christina, because you straight bully. Come on, Adonna. You better speak up for yourself. This girl ain't gonna share nothing.
oh,
But no, I mean, I have my own thoughts about what's going on in Baltimore City, but I will say this. I think that Marilyn Mosby and Nick Mosby, even though they're going through what they're going through right now, they're still free. And I think that they should stay focused on their tasks that are at hand and the things that are in front of them right now at this moment. I understand it's tremendous pressure from the media, having these things brought up in the middle of what's going on. He just stepped into the office of city council. I think he just shouldn't be distracted. I think they should really get tunnel vision. If they know they're innocent and they have nothing to worry about, then they have nothing to worry about. Focus on the job and the task that is in front of you.
Adonna, why do you think they're coming at them now?
I think they want their city. Certain people want the seats in the city to be filled with other people in the coming years. So I think it's a part of the gentrification plan.
This is a
Yeah,
hit.
I think it's a part of every. I think it's a part of.
yeah, I feel like
Listen. Let me say this real quick, because I'm more concerned with who's going to fill the seats. I'm not, if that's the case, which I'm not throwing them under a bus and saying they're guilty. But let's just play devil's advocate for a moment. Let's say they are guilty, right? Who's going to be the next city council if he loses his seat? If Nick Mosby loses his seat, who's going to be the next state's attorney in Baltimore City? If Maryland loses her seat, these are things to think about. What are we if they do? And let's just say, okay, now we're going to go on the other side. Let's say they're found innocent. Now what? The work still needs to be done. It's a lot of work that still needs to be done in Baltimore, and I think if people just focus on the work that needs to be done, I think all of these other things will become null and void. As far as people won't have time to focus on what you're doing in your personal life. And, I mean, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Sheena, where the rest of your head?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Where the rest of your head?
Can you see me?
I see you loud.
We see you perfectly. You on point.
Sheena, why is this happening now, though?
Well, now is the perfect time, Donnie. When you look at the fact that it's so much happening around the world, what better time to stress folks out? We're in the middle of a pandemic. And personally, I'm not saying that these allegations are something that's going to make or break us, because it's not. We're talking about the process. They want control of the city. It's apparent. When you have a state's attorney that's saying that I'm not going to prosecute marijuana, because clearly marijuana, a lot of these cases that's associated with that, the officers are dirty. So now she's not willing to waste the funding from her office to deal with cases that's going to be thrown out. She's an intelligent woman. She has the right to travel to look at innovative ways to combat crime in this country, in this city. So clearly, they're coming after her because she's innovative. She's not doing business as usual. She's going against the grain now. So it's the perfect time because clearly, indicted those officers, and the consent decree was in place already before the indictment, but they still were doing what they wanted to do down there. My nephew was in the street, and when they told me back in the day that the police were dirty, I didn't believe them. But once all this stuff started coming out, it's a combination. That's why now, because it's the perfect time. Because if I can put you on television and say that in a pandemic, you and I know, Christina, we're all very busy. We forget to open up our mail. We forget about a bill we had to pay. They're human. They're not exempt from making mistakes or making errors. And this is all I'm saying is that it can happen to any of us. Plenty of times I've been behind in my mortgage. Plenty of times I forgot to pay a bill. Plenty of times I gave my money. Christina, you know, I do the best I can to donate. I help so many people that I don't even tell people about. And I'd be like, now, Lord, I've helped all these people. Now I got to get this bill paid. It happens. So I don't know all the ins and outs behind it, but they're not saying that the Mosbys came up and killed somebody is what I'm trying to get us to understand.
Christina, stop touching your computer. Okay.
I've been trying to
not you, just that Christina lady. So
I just mute me and I'll let the ladies talk.
Okay, I can do that. It seems like a political hit. That's what it seems like, a political hit. And it seems like the political hit is happening because y'all can't keep still, can y'all? Y'all worse than me. Where you hear that, lady? You ain't got no head, Sheena.
I don't.
Now you got a head. Okay. Okay, what I see is because Nick is right there on the verge of being mayor, anything could happen to Brandon. And we're not wishing anything on him. But next in line is Nick. And all of those people, if you ask me, that was a very suspect election. Very suspect. Very suspect. All of a sudden, you know, numbers popped up for one candidate and nobody else got anything. And that seemed to be erased from my mind, especially when Sheila Dixon went over there and endorsed. Then everybody looking at her cockeyed and sideways, like, what you doing, boo? And you don't hear another thing about it. So I think somebody is definitely protecting Brandon's interests. That's what I see. But I could be wrong. I'll open it up. Adonna, what do you think?
Again, I'm one of those people who I don't like to dwell on problems too long. I like to get to solutions. So I feel like I don't really care who's in what seats. Just do your job. That's I think what's missing is the accountability in Baltimore City. I think there are other people who are in authority who are not holding each other accountable. And the work is not being done. That needs to be done. And I think all of this stuff is just distraction. So that's what happens when we're not doing the work we should be doing, then it leaves room for all kinds of fudgery to slide in there. You know what I mean? And
that's what you think it is, Adonna? There's a
lot of work being undone in Baltimore.
This is a war. And they don't care anything about Black people. I'm very clear.
But Black people have to care more about Black people. Let me say this. It's been Black leadership in Baltimore City for a very long time.
You've had Black people in position. That don't make them Black.
Well, listen, if they allow themselves to be pawns or puppets or whatever you want to call it, that's their fault.
But they ain't Black.
They're the ones taking the brunt of the
hits that are
coming. So if they're the face and they're allowing themselves to just be the face, then I guess, you signed up for. I mean, that's what you signed up for. I don't know. I just know that it's a lot of work that needs to be done that's not being done. That's what I do know.
I don't want you
I
to
don't
be
really care. I
naive.
don't really care who's in there. I don't really care as long as the work is getting
You
done.
have to care. You have
So
to
you
care.
have to. No, well, you know what? I care more about the work that needs to be done because to me, that's just like saying,
Okay.
for example, if I were to be your land, I don't know if you rent or if you're a homeowner, but if I were your landlord, right, and you have a house that you're supposed to be taking, that I'm supposed to be taking care of, I'm your landlord. You're renting from me, right? You're a tenant of mine, right? And we never meet, but we talk on the phone all the time. You know, we always have phone conversations, and you're like, listen, I need to meet with you. I need to meet with you. Some stuff going on in this house. You know, the windows are broken, the heater, water heater's broken, this is broken, that is broken. And I'm telling you, I'll be by next week to fix it. The week goes by, I don't come. I tell you 2 weeks from now, I'll be by to fix it. Oh, I'll get down there in 3 weeks. You know what? I'll be there in another week. You're not gonna care if I'm black or white or Chinese or whatever. You just want your stuff to be fixed. You don't care. You don't care who shows up to fix. If I say, well, I'm gonna send my nephew to come down there, I'm not gonna come, but I'm gonna send my nephew. You're gonna be like, I don't care who you send. I don't care what you do. I just want the problem fixed. Come fix the problem. That's what's happening in Baltimore. Like that's where I am with it. I'm just like, I just want the problems to be fixed. Like I don't
It's
care
not
who
going to
you
happen
send,
like that.
long as they get fixed.
It's not going to happen like that.
Well, then there we go. That's the problem then, Donnie. It's not people. It's the problems that are not being
It is
solved.
people. It is people.
I mean, well, it's the people who are responsible for solving the problem. So, yeah, it is people that are not solving the problem that need to be solved.
Christina,
Yes.
you want
I
to chime
think
in?
that I think the biggest thing, Donnie, like just saying, just how Adonna is putting it, like we know it's a solution. It's almost like knowing, and we have the confidence of things that can fix our city. And when you know, and God has given you that ability to discern those gifts, because if you're going to use your gifts to fix the city, then we're going to fix the city. Like Adonna said, let's just fix it. But I think where the boundaries come in at is because we do get in a place where we have to intertwine with that systematic view. Like you try to intertwine with them, you really do. You try to engage with them. You try to partner with them. You try to collaborate with them. Um, you don't mind if you sit at the table and share ideas. Let's just get it done. But we have an administration. I'm gonna say administration, not leaders. Okay, let's just let them be the administrators they are, because they're about their wealth too. So they're administrators. We have to allow these administrators to pretty much do the things that they do because it's like they're going to continue to keep doing it. I mean, they're
I
going to
don't
do.
buy that because you're now saying that the people have no power. I want to
No, the
ask you
people, we
something.
have to take the power. We have the power. The people have the power. We have to take the power, and
Christina, I want to ask
we have to make sure that the power is distributed amongst us all,
that's not
because
going
the
to happen.
power is in us already.
Christina, that's a fantasy world. Let me go straight to the gut. When Catherine Pugh was mayor, did she help you? Did
Come
Catherine,
on.
did Catherine Pugh help you?
Answer the
Why
question,
did
ma'am.
why did he why did I don't I think he was working in the office during that time.
Did Jack Young help you?
I had to learn.
Is
If you
Brandon
don't,
helping you?
I'm learning. Can I share
So
something, Donnie?
the answer, in fact, is 3 no's. Clearly, we don't have a say. And we have people in office who are not responding to
Help
our
me,
needs.
Adonna, help me.
I mean, and it is what it is because again, I'm one of those old, I'm kind of old school when it comes to,
Yeah, you old fashioned in
yeah,
spirit.
I'm kind of old fashioned. So
She has a
I
very
believe
old
in like
fashioned
things my
spirit.
great grandmother used to say and my grandmother used to say, the proof is in the pudding type stuff. And I'm like, some some questions don't need to be asked. The answers are right in front of you. Or you know what I mean? So like you can take a good look at Baltimore City and find out what's being done and what's not being done.
What's
All you
being
have to
done
do
and
is
what's not
take a
being done.
ride from the south to the east to the north to the west. Well, the north, the east, the west, and the south. Take a
So,
ride through those parts of the city, and you'll kind of like you can answer your own questions by checklist.
so what are solutions that you have, Adonna, considering that we have people in office that are non-responsive to our needs?
So here's the thing. Again, if we get them out of there, who's gonna get in there? That's the question for me. I'm always forward thinking because I feel like, man, if we say get them out of there, who else is gonna come in? Like, so it's like to me, it's like a lose-lose if the people still everybody has the same attitude and the same is under the same umbrella, then what's the point? It's like we really have to get to where people actually care about the city. And I'm just going to say this. If I were a mayor or city council president or anyone in any type of position in Baltimore to make decisions for Baltimore City, I would be completely ashamed of the way my city looks and the state of my city. I would be completely ashamed at this point. Like I would be embarrassed and I probably wouldn't come out either. And I think that I think it's a truth that has to be faced in Baltimore City. People have to see it for what it is. It's a mess. It's a hot mess. And you can show whatever parts you want to focus on. If you want to focus on Harbor East, you want to focus on those beautiful sides of the city, then go ahead. But when you're talking about the people, because I believe a city is the people. You can't call it a city and not include the people. You can't say a city, but you're only talking about buildings and areas and businesses. When you say the city, you're talking about the people because the people it's people that work in that city, that work in those buildings, that live in those buildings, that walk around those buildings, hang outside those buildings. It's a lot of people in Baltimore City, and that is the city to me. And if you're not focusing on your city, which is the people, then you fail to do your job. It's just that simple.
Sheena, they say the power concedes nothing without demand. It never did and it never will.
Absolutely. I was speaking with Mr. Lenny earlier before I talk with you guys, and he was telling me he's an elder, and he was saying back
The
in the day
barber,
they had Lenny, the House of Naturals.
the barber.
Yes, Barbara.
Mhm.
They had the goon squad, and what we were saying is the problem in Baltimore City. Everybody's just too separate. This person's over east, don't want to go west. West don't north, don't want to go south. But the goon squad would come together. They were like the elders, and they would give instructions as to how we were to proceed. And that's what we're missing now. We're missing the elders giving us the advice because the elders advise the youth and the youth implement. Typically, that's the way it works. With every revolution, it came change with young people. And so that's the problem in this city. We're not including our young people. And some of the things that we're not taking personal responsibility as well. I'm not excusing the behavior of some of those within the community because we do have to bring change in the way that we're handling things as well, whether it's from the way you attend your child's board meeting, school board meeting, or check their homework, or just cook dinner versus always eating out. The simplistic, basic things, we have to get back to the basics. Now we help each other. Like I said with Christina, she's dealing with the homeless. She shouldn't even be having all these types of issues because they should automatically give her a building with wraparound services because she's not making it up. The people are homeless. It's a humanitarian issue. So if we have a budget that comes into the city and we're saying this is allocated for homeless, but we look at it as salary is the top of the budget, when you get to the little crumbs, the people aren't going to be able to eat. They're not going to be able to house the homeless because you don't have enough. It's going into salaries. Whereas if we said, well, okay, we're going to have this building, Christina will manage it. We will give her all the wraparound services, even if you take a portion of where the homeless are right now. The bridge, make that a shelter, close it in, and give her what she needs. But we're in the middle of a pandemic. We have hotels that are available, schools that were closed. It was no reason for her to have those homeless people under the bridge. But the question is, are you human enough to say, this is what I took an oath for, that when this budget comes in, I will send this uptown, I will send this downtown, crosstown, and the money is supposed to be allocated, but we know that it's not. That's a problem. So the children and the young adults are looking at us like, why y'all keep putting them back in there? It's like the Frankenstein theory. What you create in the basement, you will eventually confront upstairs. Okay? So this stuff isn't new. It's not rocket scientists. We know it's by design. It's no reason in 30 years we haven't had schools built. Our children are still going to school with no heat or air conditioning. Lead, the water is still turned off because of the lead, in which we confronted over 20 years ago down at City Hall when Peter Bilson was the health commissioner. So it's nothing new. But the people are so overwhelmed and so stressed out, they won't even come out of their homes because they're depressed. They're just, it's just sad that those of us who are in position won't do what needs to be done. And God is watching it. That's the saddest part about it. Me personally, I just can't do wrong because I'm like, Lord, I don't want the judgment of God. When man judge you, it's no big deal, but the judgment of God, I don't know how people can sleep at night knowing what they're doing to our children with this budget in the school, with the police department. And this is our money. They're not giving us anything. This is tax-paying dollars.
Exactly. And we're looking at such a great
population in the city. Pennsylvania Avenue is a historic district. What type of historic funding is going up there? It goes on and on and on. And our children, and that's one of the reasons why I commend the state's attorney. We're sending children to prison, and they're making $50,000. Let's say you get $50,000 per year, and they get a 5-year sentence. They still getting the $250,000 for that 5-year sentence, but they'll parole them in 2 years. But they still getting the money on the 5-year sentence. It might cost them $30,000 to house them, but we're going to kick out $50,000 to incarcerate them. It's modern day slavery. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Adonna, come on in. You've been quiet.
I was going to say, well, actually, I was in Annapolis the day that Nick Mosby did advocate for the buying and selling of the youth that has been going on in Baltimore, selling the children in the system. So yeah, it's people advocating for this stuff all the time. And the art district has just been reinstated on Pennsylvania Avenue. Breon, I cannot pronounce her last name. It's just like a African last name, but she is one of the people who sit in the leadership for that. So they have plans and they're moving things forward slowly but surely. But it's just, I just don't like how things are being, how people are picking and choosing what they want to focus on.
You know what I find in Baltimore, Adonna?
Yeah.
A lot of people want to be in charge. A lot of people want a position without ever having done the work, without ever having spent any time in the community, never touched base with the people who've been busting their butt for 10, 20, 30 years. People just pop up on the scene and say, hey, I'm your leader. And it's like, we don't know you.
Take me to your leader.
And this is Black people. Because we are quick to jump. Hold up. We are quick to jump for a grant.
And the grants aren't that big. So it's really sad because it's a little bit of money. Like you said, Ms. Smith, compared to the salaries that these people are making.
Right.
It's like grants. Like, how is a grant for a whole organization smaller than your salary for 1 year, sir or ma'am? Like, I don't understand that. But so when I think about it, I'm like, as it pertains to our leadership, I don't think we as the people hold them accountable as much as we should. And I think that's the power that the people have, is to hold these people accountable, but people aren't showing up. I've seen, organizations like Out for Justice fighting for pre-release for women in Maryland, pre-release, and fighting for different legislation that's going to affect us all or help us all. They for amendments and all kinds of things in Annapolis, and no one is showing up to support these organizations. And so
Why is that, Adonna? Why is nobody showing up?
I think because it's a disconnect, and like you said, we have to engage.
You mean in Annapolis?
No,
they're not showing up where?
I'm sorry.
They're not showing up where?
Anywhere, not just Annapolis, but like, you know, we've done events. I mean, I'm not saying no one's showing up. I'm saying it's over 600,000 people.
She froze up.
And so when you're talking about numbers, you're talking about strength in numbers. You're talking about the people. The power is in the people. You saw what happened with the uprising, you know. So we can do it if we do it a little bit better than the way we've been doing it, and if we just have a little bit more concern, a little more cohesive thinking, like Ms. Smith was saying. And I know one thing I can say, this is a good thing and a bad thing, but like with Catherine Pugh, when she was in office, she was doing something called a call to action meetings at City Hall. And I think whoever should pick that up and get back to it and not let it just be a matter of pacification, because I think, you know, it was like a thing like, hey, come on, let me hear what you have to say. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay, thanks for coming out. Next. So it's like you want us to come and we have these venting sessions. That's what I consider a vent session, where I can come and I can vent to you, and I'm all angry and I'm all telling you what's wrong with your city, the city that you're running, and you're acting as if you just found this information out, but it's your city. And I feel like as leadership, we should hold them accountable and put some things in place that says to the city leaders, once you become mayor, once you become city council president, whatever positions you hold that have the most influence in the city, I think they should take a ride to their city. I think it should be a mandate that they should take a ride from the day they step in office. They should do a ride through the city and let the people greet them and take a look at the city that you've just been put in charge of. Go to all the parts of the city, not just certain ones, and take a good look. I think if they really took a good look, they would be moved by what they see, hopefully.
Donna, you acting like these people care, and I'm just not feeling that. I'm not, that's not getting inside my brain. I don't get that impression. Sheena,
I mean, that's
you and your shaky phone. What do you want to say, Sheena? Let me help you out.
No, the thing is that I don't really care if you don't like me, but if you take an oath, it's your responsibility to implement that oath. And God is watching that.
They don't care.
Huh?
They don't seem to care.
And you know what? You're probably right. But the fact of the matter is,
they play with God. I've seen the several of these leaders claim they love God. They got pictures in the newspaper. I ain't gonna say the politician's name, but they got on the front page of the Baltimore Sun, and she was doing like this. And I'm like, you gotta stop playing with God. You know damn well you stealing $100,000, $800,000 as we speak, but you want to on TV like this. Come on, stop playing. Or they'll say, I changed. No, you didn't, because you still stealing. I don't have no faith in any of them. Not many. I don't know who I got faith. I got faith in myself now.
Yeah, just keep faith in God. But
yeah, faith in God.
Because
you know what? I will tell you, too many politicians, too many black politicians are broke.
Well, the thing is, many, and I had that conversation with Mr. Lenny as well. Many of them, that's what happens. They go in, with other people money, and what happens when they get in? Now they're in position to implement, and they're like, no. Remember who owns you. But
That's what happened up at that racetrack, Sheena.
That's why you have to go in not for the money. You have to go in for what you say the oath is. Because if
Pew
you go in,
went in the door. Look, didn't Pew say she was going to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour? She got in there
she didn't even pay her campaign workers, so I wasn't even understanding. And that was a major issue for me, because if you won't pay your campaign workers, and that was a flaw in her. And this is what we got to understand: no one is going to dot every I and cross every T. But
they go in on black politicians, though. They go in on black politicians.
What I'm saying, once she got in, she agreed to let homes do a pilot program. So you all don't know everything that she agreed upon. She began to be inclusive for all communities, and they was like, no. We own you, and this is what's going to happen. Because look at it this way. She went down. How many other people that was on that board that benefited with millions of dollars, but you don't hear anything else about them now?
Including that former delegate.
For a book that she wrote over a decade ago, that people are saying
it was a decade ago, but she was doing stick-ups. She was doing current stick-ups with that book. And she was, the unfortunate part was how many black people she muddied going down. Associated Black Charities, JP Grant.
But because this is what you got to understand, and I often share this with my nephews. You have a split second, I don't care who you are, to make a decision whether you're going to go to the left or whether you're going to go to the right. Now, everybody can be in this room and they can think they're movers and shakers, but the decisions that they're making, right then and there, whether it's something that you should be doing or not. And if you don't make that right decision, you're giving them the bait to come after you.
Well, I knew when she stuck up them campaign workers in Walbrook Junction for some little stinky $50, $100, you already knew what was going on. But okay, so here we are. Let's get some solutions. Adonna, you got any solutions? Oh, my bad. Hold up. There we go.
Yes. My solution is that we hold them accountable. I think
how?
Everyone.
How?
Okay. I'm going to say all those who voted for the mayor to be the mayor, all those who voted for the city council president to be the city council president, don't stop at the poll. That's all I'm saying. People get out, they vote for their candidate, and when their candidate gets in there, they go away.
Hold
your candidate accountable for everything that they said on their campaign trail.
How, Adonna? Is it an email? Is it a phone call?
It's whatever you need to do. Phone calls, emails, showing up at City Hall, writing letters, standing outside there. Oh no, I'm not gonna say that.
Can I tell you, Adonna, what this is? This is a war. Right now, you have the Baltimore Sun. You got Fox 45. So you got the Baltimore Sun, Channel 11, Channel 13. They all on the same team. Then you got Fox 45. And then you got the Baltimore Brew. What's interesting about the Mosbys is that all three of those networks are targeting Nick and Marilyn Mosby. All three. So if you ask me, we really need to strengthen the black media. This is part of the black media. Be More News is the radio shows that we have around town. They are part of black media. You also have the Afro. You have the Baltimore Times. We have to use our black media outlets. And we got to write letters to the editor. I'm not a big fan of the mainstream outlets, but they will never accept us. See, we keep thinking we can convince them to love us. They will never love you, ever. Get it out your mind. I'll pass the ball. Let me pass the ball. Come on, Sheena.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is, I think the solution is for us to love ourselves, for us to educate ourselves, for us to pay our bills, for us to buy property, for us to be a landlord or help out families and friends or individuals to become homeowners, for us to go in those blocks that have vacant homes, purchase them, and house each other, for us to hire our own Black contractors. We have everything that we need to solve our problems, for us to stop killing each other, for us to stop selling dope to each other, for us to look at our elders and say, you know, I'll take you to the doctor today. I'll go and take you to the supermarket. We have everything that we need. God has equipped us. But the question is, and I often share this with my friends, we were talking last night, are you going to channel positive energy, or are you going to sit around and deal with a lot of negativity? Because for me, I have to connect with those individuals who want to bring positive change, not just by talking, but when we put our money together. And when Christina say, I need $1,000, we have 10 people that don't mind sending $100. You understand? So that she can get 2 people off the street. We have to begin to have trust in one another. Although we feel like some people are saying, well, the Mosby ain't do this, no, but we have to look at this and say, wait a minute. As a Black woman, she's took a stand in her career at a time when no one else would do that. So for that, that's enough for me to say, this sister, I will help you fight on this issue. And we will meet and say, on this issue, we were not pleased with you. So how can we fix it? See, that's what we
Sheena,
have to stop assassinating each other for making small mistakes, because a just man falleth 7 times. You understand what I'm saying?
Sheena, who would you take as mayor, Nick or Maryland, right now?
I'll take Maryland. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I understand that Maryland, she's not going to take a back seat. She's going to speak truth to power, in my opinion. Now, because she is connected to Nick, and because she's in a key position and he's in a key position right now, and I would take Nick if he was next, in, if the election was held next year, and let's say Brandon chose not to run, or they ran against each other. I think we got to stop knocking each other out of the box and say, the position that you're in, how can we utilize you to the best of your ability to bring what we need? Because although Brandon is the mayor, it's things that he can do right now. Nick can still stay where he's at and be effective as well. Merle
Also, Sheena, talk about that board of estimates, because that's the critical. The board of estimates meeting Wednesday morning.
The board of estimates, yes.
He could hold up some things there, because we're seeing tens of millions of dollars in contracts not go to Black people.
Right. Well, we got to get organized to go down there and have our paperwork in order to get those contracts. See, we have to position ourselves. I'm not saying that Black contractors don't. I'm not saying they don't have their paperwork in order. But what we need to do is go down there and make sure they get these contracts. So if he has to hold it up, let him hold it up.
Come on, Adonna. Hold on, there we go.
It is one. Like you're just saying, there are Black contractors who do have their stuff together. They have blueprints laid out. They have all the floor plans, the building plans, the budgets. They have everything in line. There is a challenge that's before us, like Mr. Donnie was saying. It's certain people who have been determined to keep certain of us out of those rooms and out of those biddings, because it's not like we're not trying. We are definitely trying. There are Black contractors who are definitely attempting to go after these contracts, but they are not being fairly allowed into the bidding, the fair biddings. You know, they're not being allowed in those rooms. And some of the decisions have already been made, or pre-made, if you want to say pre-made.
Very good. So are you familiar with Isabel Cummings, Adonna?
I am not familiar. Oh, is that the daughter of Elijah?
No, Isabel Cummings is the white lady inspector general who's going after Marilyn Mosby.
Oh no, I don't even know.
She's the inspector general, and the real question is, could her time be better spent on investigating some things that really matter?
It would, but that's what matters to her. So that it tells you people spend their time on what is important to them. You know what they say, people find time for what they what they want to find time for. So she has time for that. She has time for that. We don't have
Adonna,
time
I'm
for that.
telling you,
She
there's
has
a
time for that.
reason Isabel Cumming is going the way she goes
I'm
and
sure
not
it is.
looking at things that really matter. There's a
I'm
reason.
sure it is.
It's a political hit. You're black, you're in office, you're next in line, they're coming at you. Christina, you've been quiet. Let me help you out.
No, I'm not quiet. I'm processing, Donnie. Donnie, you said what's the solutions? And just listening to everything collectively that Sheena, and again, like I told you, you got two amazing two people that's dear to my heart, so I can listen to them easy and multitask at the same time because they know me. But let me tell you one of the solutions, Donnie, and I tell you this because again, I've been under the bridge for 5 months. We have started mobilizing, and we set the date today. April the 26th, we will be having a citizen accountability march, but demanding with righteous demands. And when I started thinking about this march, Donnie, I was like, I got to make sure that I have the right process for this march because it's dealing with everything around our city. The march is going to hit the School Board of Education. The march is going to hit 926 Greenmount, where our young youth is hollering out at, trying to get their voices from behind the walls. And if anybody remember, when they said they was going to do this correction center, it's supposed to have been a lot of vocational initiatives in there. Like it's supposed to have been a lot of rehabilitation put into this new facility on Greenmount. So we're going to do a roundabout in this march. We're going to go to the police department because we feel like there's a lack of accountability there. And when we have a commissioner that talks about us not recognizing our social ills, we need to address that. And then we're going to end up at City Hall. So April the 26th, and Adonna, you don't know it yet, but you're a part of it. We will have this accountability march, and we're going to have some righteous demands in place. And Donnie, we have a couple of special guests coming to this because one thing that I've learned since I've been under this bridge is some amazing relationships in Baltimore City. We have some amazing individuals in this city who is really clueless of the other side. It's almost like two Baltimores. It really is. It's almost like, dealing with individuals from Canton, dealing with individuals from Middle River. We've been dealing with individuals all over the city just to make sure that our basic needs are met every day. From sugar to salt to bread. And some of these relationships even initiated this march because it's like the way we're going to have a solution, Dottie, we have to make them uncomfortable. We ain't got to hate them. We ain't got to, but we need to make them uncomfortable because it's more of us than them. And until we make our voices heard, we're starting at the education school building after we leave the homeless encampment because we have a black sister that comes on TV and the news and apologizing for dumb-dumbing our children. I'm sure she wouldn't have had a public apology if she was somewhere where she was probably in a majority white community with the white kids.
And they pay her $350,000.
This
Christina,
sister, can't, this sister can't apologize making almost $300,000 a year. And
350.
we need doctors. We need those lawyers. So we're going to have this march on the 26th. And like you said, we hope radio hosts. We need a lot of the black media. We need you, Donnie. We need to bring some of these black hosts, radio hosts to the table to say, look, we want to make this march about something that can really change the dynamics of our city. We got to make them uncomfortable, Donnie.
Good deal. Ladies, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Shut the city down.
Shut it down.
Yes,
Shut it down.
Much
I want
love
to
to
share.
everyone.
Yes, I want to share that we'll be meeting in the park too on April 17th before the 26th. Miss Christina, Sis Christina, big sis. Miss Sheena will be meeting in the park. Women helping to empower women. The Woo the movement. We will be rallying in the park. We're not walking this day, but we're going to be rallying this day so that we can talk, because there are a lot of issues that have to be addressed, and it's going to start with us. It all began with us. These are our children in these streets that are dying, the babies, the middle-aged, and we have to have some level of accountability. So we're going to be discussing some things that we need to do moving forward, and the women taking their place in Baltimore City and doing what needs to be done for our children, for their education, for safety, for the juvenile systems, all of that stuff. And we have to really raise our voices, open up our mouths, because they are our children.
Absolutely.
Y'all know what needs is that I believe children are the future.
Sheena, anything before we go, Mama?
Christina, could you give Adonna my number?
Okay, good deal. Thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight. My name is Johnny Glover. We'll be back at set. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on, Sheena.
I just want Christina to give Adonna my number.
She got you.
Okay.
Good deal. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. for Black USA News. Good night, ladies.
Peace.